Escape from Tarkov interchanged all over itself with this patch. This patch, they interchanged all over themselves because interchange is the best map. It's such a good map, but every single thing on top of the map sucks. You know what I mean? The spawn suck, the extract sucks, kill us sucks, the loot distribution sucks, the keyed rooms suck, the fog sucks, the lighting sucks. But the map is so good. And like that's like this patch. There's so much cool stuff, but there's so much poop on top of it that you can't get there, and it's so sad. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast, a show dedicated to talking about all the poggers things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jessica Zam.
And I'm Veritas, and I have a quick update to last week's story time.
An update?
Because I went,
was last week's wedding brawl?
Yeah, we had a little family get together. And like with all my aunts, uncles, grandparents, it was kind of like a Christmas thing, kind of like a memorial thing for my grandfather. And my aunt had gotten all these old home videos and stuff digitized, and it was amazing seeing like all this old footage.
Oh yeah,
my dad.
Oh yeah, you like tweeted something about it. He was like playing bass or something.
Yeah, he was on the back of a float in a parade and just like playing bass. Looked exactly like me, dude.
That's so sick.
Well, I look exactly like him, I guess. But yeah, it was also really cool because there's like a bunch of footage that I've never seen before of my mom when she was younger, and I have I've got like 4 pictures of my mom and like 1 home video I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So it's like really wild to be able to see that stuff. But yeah, so I asked my dad. I was like, "Yo, you gotta refresh my memory." And the one part I left out, the one part I left out was my dad told me he knocked out the 4 front teeth of the guy.
Oh my god.
Dude, literally,
your dad's such a boss.
Dude, he knocked out his 4 front teeth. Crackhead, dude.
Was your dad like super excited? Oh, well, let me tell you about that story.
No, he was like, "Oh, that one, yeah. Your aunt's wedding, yeah."
Which story? Which one where I knocked out a guy? Which one are you talking about, Mary?
He's like, well, actually, he said he's like the one where I knocked the guy's 4 front teeth out, and I was like, I missed that part.
Did you tell him that you've been telling the stories on the podcast, and now he has hundreds of people that think he's like the Chad dad?
No, he has no idea. He has no idea.
Because between that and dad fight, your dad's my new hero.
I did tell him that I talked about dad fight, and he got a nice little eat and grin. The classic like Veritas eat and grin, that's where I got it from.
Oh, that's epic. That's epic. All right. Well, how you doing? How's the stream? You've been live for a while.
Dude, I genuinely don't know. I don't have enough time to watch streams. So I don't know. I honestly just don't know what other people obviously don't know what like normal non-streamer people's experiences are like, other than what they tell me, which I only half believe either way.
Yeah.
But I don't know what streamers' experiences are like, but in like an 8-hour stream, I want to say like 75% of my raids involve just like my screen just fades to black and I die. I don't hear a gunshot.
Oh, yeah.
Like I spawn, I'll run for a little bit. Like the first raid of the day, I got into literally like all the way in the swamp on Shoreline, ran all the way in, went in the west wing, and the end, looked down the hallway, nothing there, all clear. It's like, okay, cool. Walk down to the next doorway, get halfway through the doorway. I hear glass shatter, and there's a shot, and I'm dead.
Yeah.
And it's a headshot from 855, and it's wild. I have so many. I literally am putting together a folder of just like insta die, where I don't hear anything, and then I fall over. It's
like the desync has desync now. Like it just feels like it's getting exponentially worse, dude.
Dude, the servers are like, hey, wait a minute. There are bullets from 27 minutes ago from his last reserve raid. They just got to the server. Yo,
shoot, we forgot those bullets. Yeah.
Process those now. Yeah.
We forgot those bullets.
Yeah, man. I think you just saw me get that one straight up kill on the guy, like the 2 kills on with the ump.
Yeah.
Those are the only 2 clean fights I've had in the last like 5 or 6 days.
Yeah.
Every other thing is like I'll see someone and go, oh, and then I'll get behind cover, and then all of a sudden my arm goes black.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh God. And I'm sure like it's one of those things like I know he shot before.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just so
I say
it's
that
so like tilting.
Exactly. I say that countlessly on the stream. Like if I'm malding, I'll be like, it's obviously not that guy's fault. Like I'm not mad at him. Like he hit a good shot on his screen. I was there. He shoots me, whatever. It's just like, I'm not mad at him. I'm mad at the thing I can't control. I'm mad at the fact that on my screen, I was behind cover by a long time. You know what I mean? And so it's like, yeah, exactly. I'm sure on, and I'm sure that happens. Okay. We were in a fight. Me and Sealable were in a fight in Shoreline in the resort, and good God, Veritas, it would have been your nightmare. A duo fighting a duo in the resort where it's just a pancake. All audio is same level audio, all of it. So it's like I'm trying to make comms where I'm like, he's above, he's got to be above. And there's my footsteps, and there's his Seal's footsteps, and then there's 2 other people's footsteps, and it was like a 5-minute cluster before either one of us, either team actually saw anyone from the other team, because it was constantly like he's got to be right around this corner.
Go peek this sound, and there's nothing there.
Yeah, he's right around this corner. Scoop, and then he wasn't there, and then he was up and then down, and then we won the fight. Like Seal made a really good flank on one, and then I peeked the corner, and the guy moved out of cover. And the first thing I said, right? Like normally, what do you want? What do you want after a 5-minute fight? What do you want to be like, oh, like, let's go. Literally, I killed the guy. I turned around, ran away for the reload. And the first thing I said was, it doesn't even feel good to win. It doesn't even feel good to win, because I know that guy had no idea where I was. I know that those guys were making the same calls. I thought he's above. No, he's outside. He's out. Like they were making the same calls we make. And so it just like, it doesn't feel good to lose, and it doesn't feel good to win. You know what I mean? It's just like, can I get to the extract is the only question at this point. You know what I mean?
Did you see the clip that I tweeted? Where some guy had said, if people think recoil is RNG based, they're just at the game. I'd like to see the average KD of everyone who answered this poll based on their answer. My favorite was that was Desmond was basically like, I'll dumpster fuck anybody who says that it's not RNG.
That's amazing.
But
and
yeah,
he would.
Yeah. In that clip was the I think maybe the one kill. I'll throw it in chat for anybody. It was the one kill that I got yesterday. And literally at the end I said I didn't even earn that.
Yeah.
I didn't even literally the MP7 just jumps up in interchange where it's like a 70-foot ceiling.
Yeah.
I went up from his center mass to the ceiling, back down, going left and right, and one of the bullets just went clink into the guy's head.
Yeah, I'm watching the clip. And
I'm like, doesn't even feel good.
Yeah, you want to be like, oh, let's go, chat, but you're like, bro, I didn't mean to do it that way. Like, that was totally accidental.
It's so much more satisfying, as much as people meme about like the laser beam, when if you put your crosshair right on their face and you hold mouse 1 while they're walking and it's and they fall.
Exactly.
You're like, damn, that was amazing.
Or even if you have a high recoil gun and you start a little low and let it walk up and then hold. Like if there's any that's still, it feels good. That's fine. You know what I mean? But just like, and then you hit a headshot. You're just like,
yeah. And then later on in that raid, I get, perfectly Tarkoved, where I was upstairs, and you hear like the running on like wood and kind of crinkly glass, and you're like, he's in the store to my right. So I'm like holding the angle, and all of a sudden the sound crosses the threshold of like where they'd be out of the building, and you're like, oh, he's just underneath me.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you're walking and you hear the footsteps and you're like, okay, well, he's underneath me, and all of a sudden, kaboom.
Yeah.
I die. I watch the clip. And there is a guy,
a different guy.
He's been a different guy up top, but like the game like debated me into being like, there's no one up here.
You trust the game audio, and then you validate that the game audio is lying to you. So then you stop trusting the game audio, and then something else that the game audio actually works, and it's Yeah, it's a mess. It's before we get too deep. Before we get too deep into the state of Tarkov, because there's a lot of topics. There's a lot of topics to talk about today. We do want to take a quick second and thank the sponsor for this podcast. Chat, you guys have been crushing it. Thank you so much. So we do have a few sponsors for today's podcast. And the first one is HelloFresh. HelloFresh is something that I'm not even joking, have been using for over 6 months. I could talk about it forever. It's genuinely helped my family and just like me and my wife. The food is delicious.
My wife.
My life. The food is really, really good. All of the recipes are actually banging. It's farm fresh food. It's really affordable. Like it's for us, it's been one of those things where it's helped us remove like food waste, because you go to the grocery store, you buy a bunch of food, you cook a few meals from that food, and then you have a bunch of stuff that's like ingredients for some things. So it comes perfectly pre-portioned. It's a lot of food too. One of the big questions that I've been asked when we use it is like, are you full? It's plenty of food. I actually don't even finish it half the time. And normally I only eat like one meal. So it's unbelievably convenient. You can just go online and it has you can do it 1 week at a time. You can let it auto assign meals for you, or you can change them based on like keto, or if you don't want meat, or we do meats and veggies and the whole thing. And it's so convenient. You go on, we have an app, and we just scroll through and we look every single week. There's like 35 recipes, and we just pick the 4 we want. We've just chose 4 meals for 2 people. You can change how many meals per week. You can choose how many people you want to feed per week, and per week it changes. You can say I want 4 meals this week, I want 2 meals next week. It's insane. There's so many to choose from. I know this is only going to be for the visual people, but they give you these menu cards. It's literally how to make every single thing, every single ingredient, how much of it you have, how long it's going to take. It only, like, I don't think we've had a single one that took longer than 35 minutes to cook, basically from like opening the bag to putting it in my face. So this is one that personally, from my side of the table, I have been using this for a really long time. It checks every single box for me, and it's been delicious. I don't know if you've tried any yet.
I have had 1 meal so far, and it was banging. It was banging, and my wife was like, "It's so nice not to have to like shop and plan and whatever." And yeah, it was like a chicken and pasta. Yeah, it was just really, really good, really convenient, way healthier than I normally eat. So,
and the last thing I'll say is I love to cook, but I hate thinking up a menu. Like literally, it's like this isn't even a part of the ad read as far
crackers into Shanka, bro.
I hate our least favorite time of the week is just coming up with what to cook that week. I don't mind cooking, but I just hate. So it's like 4 things for like 2 years. We would just eat 4 things over and over again because I hate coming up with something to cook. So the fact that it's like we can just pick good looking recipes and then I get to cook. I've learned so much about cooking. So anyways, so huge shout out to HelloFresh for sponsoring this episode. #ad. You can go to hellofresh.com/pogcast22 and use code pogcast22 for 22 free meals over the course of several boxes and free shipping. Once again, that's hellofresh.com/pogcast22 and use code pogcast22 for 22 free meals. You can join America's #1 meal kit. Thank you, HelloFresh, for sponsoring this video. It's so good. We literally had HelloFresh dinner for dinner tonight.
I'm hungry now. God damn it.
All right. So all that being said, Tarkov, there hasn't been a whole, like, this has been like a super weird week where like there hasn't been, like last week we had so much to talk about in terms of like actual things being changed and actual things happening. Not a whole lot has changed or has been happening. Oh, dude, imagine a cooking podcast where we both cook the same. That'd be amazing.
Oh my God, like a cooking
contest. A cook-off.
You donut!
And so there hasn't been a whole lot of like news to report as far as things, but I feel like the community has just like broken down this week. It's been like I don't even open Twitter anymore. Anyway, so we can start with like how Tarkov's been feeling. We kind of touched on that a little bit. It's been pretty brutal, man. And this is one of those times where it's like, if you ever think that me or Veritas or anybody just like rides BSG and just like never is willing to point it out, dude, it's been really rough. Did you see what happened when you popped into my stream? Because you popped in and you were like, should have taken another extract. Yeah.
I popped in. Someone sent me a clip.
Were you watching me mauled about it? It was the first raid of the day. I posted it on Twitter, and I normally don't because I don't want to stir up the stuff, but there's the extract, there's a quest. So I didn't even take this extract just because there's a quest where you have to shoot up a green flare, and when you shoot up the green flare, you can extract there. I've extracted there before, and I think it's a really cool concept for an extraction. They did it pretty well, where once you go into the area, a little thing pops up in the bottom right, and it'll say signal area. So it alerts you when you're in the area that the green flare will work. So I was like,
You have to like throw it in the area, or like while you are in
as long as you're in the area and anybody partied with you that's in the area gets it. So one green flare and and your whole squad can get out as long as they're all in the signal area when you hit it. So I've taken it before, and I remember being like, that was cool. Like, that was really well executed. Like, I like that. I love that as an extract. There's a ton of other extracts on streets. You don't have to take it, but you can take that. But then I got a quest to just take that one time. So we did.
Was it a daily?
No, it's I just hadn't done a lot of streets tasks, and eventually there's one where it's like, take that. So we went and we did a whole thing, and I got 2 other quest items for 2 other streets tasks, and the third task was just extract here, right?
Did someone walk you to those places, or did you have the wiki with the map?
Oh no, Valiant. I was playing with Valiant, and he had done them all, so he was like, "Come over here, I have the key," or whatever.
That's the only, and he probably found from the
yeah.
wiki. Like literally 2 people find out where these things are, then it goes on the wiki, and then everybody,
for sure. And so we shoot up the flare, and as soon as we shoot up the flare, we all start rubber banding. And I was like, oh no. So I finally get out, and I run out to where the extract is. And it's a 5-second timer, and the timer goes to 0. I don't extract. I'm laying prone behind the bushes because I was like, okay, well, at least I won't get shot because I'm just waiting for the server to catch up and extract me. And then I prone teleport back across the road where you have to shoot up the flare. So I was like, oh no. So I jump up, I run back, and then the extraction timer comes back up. Okay.
3, 2.
I frame by framed it. 0.1 seconds left. I teleport back to the thing, and I was like, come on. So then I start running again towards the extract, and I'm rubber banding, can't move, rubber banding, can't move. Finally get out into the middle of the road, and how the extraction, the green flare only works for like 60 seconds. So
I knew that. I was like, oh my God, he's going to run out of time. Well, actually, I didn't know that. I was worried
like
about
you knew
that.
It was going to happen. So I get halfway out of the road, and then I hear an SVD shoot at me. So I turn around, and I'm just rubber banding in the middle of the road, screaming at the top of my lungs when
you got shot once, right? And then, it's
all 4 of the other people are like walking in place in the other area, the other guys I was with. And I was just running. I was screaming at the top of my lungs. Boom. Second SVD shot hits me in the thorax, and I fall over dead. And I was like, this is the worst. 2 quest items on me. That was the third thing. I extracted 3 separate times. I sat there and watched the timer go down, and then rubber banded, and then the stupid, of course, if there's one thing the server is going to keep track of accurately, it's how much time I have before the green flare wears out. You know what I mean? And then it wears out. Dude, it was the first raid of the day. It was brutal, dude. Brutal.
Dude, it's like, it's the worst way. Like, well, I mean, yeah, that wasn't just unlucky. That was just purely broken on every level.
Yeah, that was.
But there's something about dying that way that is the most obnoxious. Like, it legit
for sure
feels like you're being bullied.
Yeah,
because what the game is almost literally dangling a thing in front of you, and you go to grab it, and it's like, nope.
Yeah.
Oh, you want
it's
it?
the game version of that. Yeah, like little kids, like.
And then it's like the magician version where you grab it, you're like, ha, got it. And you look in your hand, and it's like, some prank thing that isn't the thing you went to grab.
It's a grenade.
And, it's like a pile of dookie, and oh God, it's the most obnoxious thing.
Yeah.
It's the most obnoxious thing.
So that was the first raid of the day. So I was just like, I went insta-mauled city because I was like, what is this? And of course, that was a 15-minute raid while we were walking around getting those quest items. We hadn't rubber banded a single time.
Yep.
So I've heard everything. I've heard, go night raids, you don't rubber band. That's not true. I rubber band on night raids all the time. It only happens in the first 30 seconds of a raid, and then it goes away. That's not true. I was in that raid for 15 minutes, not a single rubber band. I kissed the extract, and we start rubber banding. Like,
I rubber banded on Factory today.
Yeah.
With the little packet loss thing.
I've had that on Shoreline. I've had it on Lighthouse. I've had it on It's obviously way more egregious on streets, but I've had rubber banding and a crazy amount of packet loss. So they did that update. They did that like little update where they first added rubber banding. Remember late last wipe, and that was when the packet loss symbol started happening. So it's like we've had that symbol, but I've had a lot of actual like packet loss and actual like rubber banding on other maps. So yeah, I don't know. It was brutal.
Dude, I had there were a couple times today that people were, when I was complaining about something, that folks were like, what did the post raid stats say?
Oh yeah.
Like as like trying to help me debug.
Yeah.
And I just click by them now. The last two times I've looked at them, I have the first one was actually, no, wait, it was the same raid. Nope, two different raids, two reserve raids, where one of them I spawned in, I ran for 9 seconds and I died. And it said I traveled 300 and something meters, like distance traveled.
Oh. Okay.
I was like, what the like,
nice.
What? And then like a couple of raids later, I killed a guy with like a spray, but so I killed a guy with a spray. It was like the first time I killed anybody in like 300 years, and he had like an SVD, some level 5 armor. He was like pretty juicy. It was pretty sick. Although the sick SVD, I was so excited, that had like the razor optic, the first one I've seen. I had to examine it and everything. It's like, it had zero ergonomics.
Yep.
It takes a fortnight to lift up to your cheek.
Yep.
So I grab his stuff, and then I go and I run over to the building that has like the topple down sign where you can run up. And
Yeah.
And I was going to go down underground, so I was like in the restaurant area, and then I hear someone running around. So I look out, and there's a pistoling there, naked pistoling with a TT. I like lean over, and I have I don't know if I had like a UMP or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it was like up, and I hit him, and you see blood. Then I peek out, go to the right after we kind of both go behind cover for like a second.
Yeah.
Come back out, up, 2 shots, arms in the air, whatever. Clunk, 1 shot from the TT, and I'm dead. And the post raid thing said 1 hit in the whole raid.
Yep.
So I killed a guy, and apparently it only registered the 1 hit. Maybe it was like miss, headshot. And then after that, the second pistol guy, who I hit like 4 times,
it didn't show any
apparently
hits.
There were no hits. So
yeah,
it's like
you would not have to do much to convince me that those post rate stats are just bullcrap. Like, I mean, even that it's like, it's so, the amount of times
like the sad thing is that like you just, I don't know what to think. I don't know what to trust. For all I know, the moment I saw him that first time, before like he went behind cover, and then I finally pushed out to engage him, maybe he saw me and got the luckiest 1 tap of my life.
Yeah.
And then 11 seconds go by and the server catches up.
Yeah.
So then all of those shots, none of them
just
counted.
Didn't
so maybe
matter.
So maybe the raid stats was accurate. It just, but who knows?
But exactly. It's like, maybe they're accurate, but it's like, what they're not accurate to is what we see. You know what I mean? And that's ultimately the thing, is like, even if you told me like, if you could like definitively be like, the post rates is accurate, that doesn't make me feel any better, 0% better, because there is a blatant binary egregious difference between what happens in my raid and what those things say a lot of times. So even if you said, well, they're right, it's like, okay, well then cool. Like, I'll go review my gameplay and figure out how to get better. Oh, just, I don't know, uninstall, I guess. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I've been having a ton of this happen too, where it's like, today Velian peeked a corner and like, he was shooting at somebody and he goes, like, I'm seeing him, and I was like, oh, move, like, let me, and he was like, what? And I was like, let me swing, you're hurt. And he was like, that guy didn't hit me 1 time. And I was like, you were almost dead, bro. He was like, no, he didn't hit me 1 time. But I was just like, but he's still full autoing while he's doing it. And I was like, what the hell? I've been having that a ton, where like, I'm watching my friend get hit, but they don't take any damage.
Dude, it's like I'm starting to think it's bad again. I actually said this at the end of the last raid when you were watching.
Yeah.
I'm like, I really need to make a video, and then I
Yeah,
stopped
and then you
myself.
stopped. Yeah.
Because I actually think, like, remember my netcode video back when I showed people where
Oh,
I actually think it
it's
might be
worse.
infinitely worse,
Yeah.
infinitely worse. So what that means though, like what that means, the reality of the game right now is, so in Tarkov on the server, you have the server instance itself has like the location of the scavs and all the brains of the scavs moving and whatever, and all that information is being sent out to all the clients. Each client, you're moving all of your stuff, that information has to go to the server, and then all of the individual clients hit the server and then has to update the server, like the copy,
what happened first,
and replicate it out to everything. And in a perfect world, you know, minus the speed of light and actual like ping and whatever, if everybody has good connection and like perfect net code, what you end up with is basically like, if there's 10 players in a raid, 10 almost identical copies of the same
information
world. And what I feel like is happening is, imagine like a Punnett square where there's just like a 2x2 grid, where like if two people are like jiggle peek and fighting on one guy's screen, one guy's in like square 3, one guy's in square 1 shooting each other, and then there's bullets and blood, and on the other guy's screen it's like two different things, and it's like got to reconcile two universes and make sense of it all. So that's why you get shot when you're behind cover, when people are getting shot but they're not actually getting shot. It's like a complete,
because the longer it
mess.
takes for the server to decide which is the one that really happened, and then copy that out, the more things that can happen in that time, which means that you're shooting a guy headshot, you die, and it was like, oh well, what really happened is he killed you 3 seconds ago. But how would you, the gamer, know that? You know what I mean? You're not expected to know the ins and outs of netcode and stuff like that to enjoy a game. And so what do? We say cheats or whatever.
There are times where it feels like there's super desync between the clients and the server, and it's server authoritative, which means you're shooting somebody, you're hitting them, and it's like you are in a universe that the guy isn't there. You're shooting him, but he's not there. He's over there. You know? So the server's like, none of those bullets are registering, even though your client's like, there's a person here, a person here, bullets here, so show the animation. But when it gets to the server's like, nah, fam. And then there are also times where it seems like the inverse is true, where it's totally client authoritative, where it's like, where you get, you know, you peek and you fire at a guy and maybe you miss or whatever, and then you like get behind cover and start reloading, and then you die. And which I like reconcile as the other guy was hitting your body. You didn't see any of that. It got to the server and the server's like, oh, yo, you died like 20 seconds ago.
Do you know why it would happen where like, because like, what if the server is the issue, then I would imagine it would happen to everybody, that like everybody is like seeing a bunch of weird stuff. But I've seen clips of people like sniper scope, you know, with a razor, watching a guy walk in place in the middle of the street and like spinning around, like he still has control of his character but he can't move, and it'll like shoot him in the leg. And so like the guy who made the clip is completely fine. There's no packet loss up in his top right corner. He's completely fine. He shoots the guy in the leg. The guy's like spinning around like frantically because that's all he can do. He's trying to move. And then as soon as the guy starts moving, the guy shoots him. And like the guy who made the clip, all of his shots seem to register. He's not having packet loss in the top right corner. He can move around, but he's like watching a guy and then he kills that guy. And I'm like, man, if it was the server, I thought it would affect everybody. I guess that could just been that. Maybe that guy just had bad internet in a time where the servers are bad. So it's like, you can't really know.
That's the problem, is that like, you only see your perspective. Your perspective, if your internet goes down, is indistinguishable from if everybody's connection to the server goes down. So it's, I mean, there's just no way to unless you have 9 people in one raid doing side-by-side testing. Literally what I had in my head when I said earlier I need to make a video, I went through the entire thing in my head, had an argument, pros and cons list, and then threw it out the window because I was just thinking I could get 10 people in an offline mode raid, you know, co-op raid. record terabytes of side-by-side footage, synchronize it all up, do the whole video explaining what the problem is, yada 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 yada.
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter because I did that 2 years ago and nothing's fixed. So what's the point? And then recognize the biggest thing is that like there's always that lingering doubt that co-op mode isn't the same as the regular game.
Yeah.
It's always the lingering doubt that like, is the testing that we want to do here even valid?
Yep.
I mean, I think given that like before in offline mode, it used to be a local instance spun up on your client. Whereas now the fact that you have to wait because the servers are busy makes me think like they're normal servers, if, like all other things being equal. So yeah, man, I don't know. Like,
yeah, I mean, I agree. Like it would seem that way, but I totally, with the amount of work required to execute the video as well as you'd want to execute it, that's a frustrating thing to not know for certain.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like if it's the same. Yeah, I don't know. It feels like, so like I will definitely say though that the amount of rubber banding and packet loss I've been having on Streets of Tarkov is definitely less than week 1 of the wipe. I have had a few full raids now beginning to end with not a single, it's just like, you know, I'm at 70 frames instead of 90 frames and we're fine, chill the whole raid through. That's not in no way saying it's better now or it's good. Most raids, I would say 80% of the raids, I had some sort, whether it was just like a little bit at the beginning or a little bit in the middle or whatever, or the really bad one where I died in the extract. But it seems like it has gotten a little bit better. The first week, like it was just, you couldn't move, like, you know what I mean, at all.
Yeah. Which I mean, that's one of those things that's like understandable. Like I always expect the first couple of days right at patch time that everybody and their mother is on the website logging in to pick up their Christmas items, blah, blah, blah. Like it's always just a nightmare. But then, after like the first 72 hours, it starts to become like, okay, well, this isn't just a traffic
Weirdly
issue.
enough, though, I feel like there are certain parts of the audio that are getting worse. Like, I remember, like, and this is just obviously like my observation, but like, tell me in the comments or in chat if you experience this too. Remember, I think I said this last week. The first day, it was like immediately vertical audio it was just like, this is bad. But what I loved hearing was like shots in the distance, grenades happening in a building over there, like all of this far away audio where verticality doesn't matter as much because it's not a threat to you. All sounded really good. It was like, oh, that's really cool. Like that sounds really good. I feel like I don't hear that anymore. I've had instances where me and Seal were 10 feet apart from each other on woods. And this was the conversation. Where do you think those shots are? What shots? You don't hear those shots? No. Are they still happening? No. Those shots. You don't hear those shots? What shots? Are they? We can see each other, right? When I move, he can hear my footsteps. We're that close on woods. So the verticality buildings isn't occlusion. We're on woods. I don't even hear it. I don't know what shots, bro. And he was like, the Mosin. And I'm like, what do you mean? And I feel like that's happened so much. The amount of times as a duo or trio, the amount of times in the past week I've heard, do you hear, like, where do you think those shots are? And I go, I don't know what shots you're talking about. Or vice versa. It feels like it's getting more, not less.
So the question I have there is that sound or is that netcode?
Oh, yeah, true.
You don't know, right?
Yeah, my experience of audio is getting worse doesn't necessarily, that's actually a really good point. Doesn't necessarily mean the audio is getting worse. It could have been that, like, it just wasn't sending me the audio. It wasn't that the audio itself was getting worse. It just, the network decided to not send it to me. Maybe.
Dude, it's
I don't
so
know.
finicky though. It's so like the way that they've implemented occlusion it's so finicky and complicated in, like, how do I describe it? The example that I showed in the audio test video at the end where I'm looking through a window, a boarded up window.
Oh,
broken glass, and the guy is, as he's walking on the pavement, it's clear as day until he walks behind one particular board, and then all of a sudden it gets
like,
and then it's literally like if you could, like, if you can see the person, you know, So the question is, like, maybe if you guys were 15 feet apart walking in woods, who knows if like the guy was behind a hill or a building or something and the game was like occluded, or if the bullets that guy shot never even made it to your client.
Yeah, I mean that's
Because
true.
of-
But they made it to like seals, which is so weird. That's why it's like you're definitely right. I definitely don't know how to troubleshoot these things, but like instances like that have been happening so much. Like the other day I was like, ooh, somebody need a PvP for a PvP quest. And I was like, ooh, we should push that nade. And the whole squad went, what nade? And I was like, a grenade blew. We're on shoreline. We're not even at the resort, just out open field. A grenade blew up 30 feet to my left. What do you mean, what nade? And everybody was like, what nade? And I was like, well, let's go this way. And then we found a guy. You know what I mean? It's like, what? I don't know. And but that is a good point. Like, I don't know what it is, but my experience of what I am hearing has been getting worse, not better. And I don't know if it's netcode related or whatever, but it's like, it's been.
This is all just making me.
brutal.
Like if I worked for BSG and I worked on their networking team, I would basically try to build out an entire like mock system with a bunch of clients, and try to reproduce. I would automate all this and try to reproduce like script a raid where people are running around, gunshots, explosions, blah blah blah, all this stuff, and try to induce as many of the performance issues and whatever that happen in real raids, and then have each of the like mocked out clients just be basically log dumps, debug logging,
just
everything.
nonstop.
Because like the first thing that comes to mind, and again, like I can't possibly know how any of their code is, how any of their architecture is, but there's a world in which there's like some networking manager that's like an event bus. And the way an event bus works in software is you're like a hub, and anybody that wants to know something can subscribe to you. So when something happens, so like let's say you shoot something and a client says, hey, a bullet hit a guy.
Yeah.
That will go through the server hit registration and go, okay, propagate that to everybody. Goes to the event bus, and it says, hey, everybody who wants to know, here's the information for you. Here's the information for you. Here's the information.
It's like a middleman who's responsible with distributing the information.
Yeah, and you can do that inside of a single software system, and then you can kind of conceptualize it like each of the clients are just subbed to the server to say, just tell me when updates happen. There's a world in which
notifications.
There's a world in which if there's like threading issues or other performance issues or all kinds of things, where you know how there's a million things all happening at once, right? A lot of times what you have to do is, let's say there's one event bus. When it gets events, it gets only one at a time, and what it has to do is say, I'm only operating on one thread. Only one person at a time can talk to me.
Yeah.
Someone wants to talk to me. Everybody else, I'm going to ignore you. You tell me. And it puts it in a queue and says, at time 1, here's the event.
Yeah.
And then it starts sending things, and then maybe something else comes in. It's all synchronous.
Yeah.
Right? And it could be like, if you do it improperly, one way that could happen is it says, oh, okay, there's a grenade explosion event. Let's say you have 10 subscribers. It goes, I'll give it to number 1. I'll give it to number 2. I'll give it to, another explosion. Okay, cool. Grab that. I'll give it to number 1. I'll give it to number 2. I'll give it to number 3. And it just doesn't,
and so
either there was a hiccup or it got interrupted, and
so
it didn't
clients would experience inconsistencies because maybe for whatever reason, maybe this client got the information, client 9 didn't get that information. Client 9 got a bunch of information all at once. And interesting.
Yeah, so like who knows?
Yeah.
But that's like conceptually a thing that comes to mind when I start to think like what could cause a grenade to go to one client and not everybody else. If you ignore the thing that's kind of almost impossible to test, which is like your Comcast line had noise in it at that moment. Yeah. It's like you're never gonna debug, you're never gonna test. So you kind of just have to say, if that's it, it's kind of rough.
Yeah.
There's ways to mitigate that by ensuring that things get to where they get to. You can confirmation, whatever. But yeah, you kind of just have to go to like, let's just assume everybody's connected. How could this conceptually happen?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, is that like you guys are sitting talking on Discord. You don't hear your voice lagging. Your streams are going fine. Your streams aren't dropping packets. So that's where it starts to be like,
because that's the thing. I've had really bad internet issues in the past in some of my older houses. So every time I get packet loss, it's habit where I like check OBS. And it'll be like 0 drop frames, super strong, 8,000, bit connection. And I'm like, okay, I guess it's just Tarkov, but I'm like, oh, yeah, man, it's so rough. And I get it. And like this can kind of, I guess, lead into some of the, like the community stuff that's been going on. Like I get that everybody's on their different journey of escape from Tarkov. I get everybody's on a different, place on the honeymoon phase. Like you and me went through some of this. Some of the earlier episodes of the podcast where like you had kind of crossed the line to like, I'm tired of the bull crap and I'm gonna call it. And I was not yet. And I was like, dude, but they're trying so hard, man. You know what I mean? Like
I'm still having fun even though I get cucked, dude. Yeah. It's still fun.
And so because like we've basically mapped that experience and how two different people can be in two different places and that drastically, like I really do get that. And it pains me to say it, but like, dude, this is just like the game could be in the worst spot it's ever been in since I've been playing. Like I don't know if I told you this either, but like the Nightmare Fuel 2019 stutters back in the day, I was getting it was like flashbacks, dude. I was getting that for 3 days straight every single raid. I have tons of clips I can send you where like I swing a corner and it just freezes, and for like 14 frames I'm just completely still, and then we lock up. And I died like that a few times, and I was like, take me away from this godforsaken memory. So we've had that. We've had arguably the worst audio we've had in a really long time. The desync has gotten much worse, not better. And then the introduction of like, I don't know if you would call the rubber banding and stuff like that more desync or just more packet loss, but like then we have these crazy egregious instances of this on every map, definitely on streets a ton. And it just like...
And I found my first fly hacker.
Oh shoot!
I'll tell you about that afterwards.
Oh
but yeah.
Shoot! Did you see the clip of Kings? Kings was on Factory and he found a fly hacker, and like 99% of the time those guys have God mode on too. So like, Kings just shot at him just to like middle finger him, and then the dude pulled out meds, and Kings was like and killed him, and like the guy had forgotten to turn on God mode or didn't buy it or whatever, but Kings killed the cheater. It was awesome.
I mean, I killed the cheater too. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Anyway, so it's just like, this could have like all of the content, like take all the players out of the game and just like look at the game, and it like this could have been the best wipe ever. You know what I mean? Some of the changes they've made since the wipe. I was talking earlier. I was like, we were talking earlier. I said, you know what the worst part about Streets is? It's so damn good, and it just makes you mad because you're like, I can't play it.
You can't experience.
I can't experience it. It's
everything
so damn good.
Other than the map removes the enjoyment that you could have.
It's the map is incredible, dude. Like it's not as big as we wanted, and all those early criticisms we had about like we can't go up in all the buildings and stuff like that.
I still haven't been to like 80% of the map yet. So.
All of those criticisms still stand. Where like I wish I could go up on more roofs. I wish more doors were openable. But the more I play it, the less I realize I've experienced of the map. The amount of ways you can get from building to building by going through stuff, the amount of things where you're like, oh yeah, all these doors are just going to be closed and locked, right? And one of them opens and then it takes you to a back alley, and that back alley there's a staircase and that takes you up to a new building. Like it's a tremendous map. Like if we want to applaud anybody, their map designers, their art team, it's tremendous, and that makes it worse. You know what I mean? Like I was thinking about this earlier, and I was like, Escape from Tarkov interchanged all over itself with this patch. This patch, they interchanged all over themselves because interchange is the best map. It's such a good map, but every single thing on top of the map sucks. You know what I mean? The spawns suck, the extract sucks, kill us sucks, the loot distribution sucks, the keyed rooms suck, the fog sucks, the lighting sucks. But the map is so good. And like, that's like this patch. The changes are good. Streets is good. Lightkeeper seems really, really cool, even though, in my opinion, too hard to get to. There's so much cool stuff, but there's so much poop on top of it that you can't get there. And it's so sad because it's like, oh, it's just brutal because you just want it to be. It's just like, who cares how long I've been playing? 6,000 hours, 6 hours. You're a gamer. You saw a cool YouTube clip. You're like, that game sounds cool. You just want to experience the fun, and you're so close to it. And then you're just like, damn, bro, like this sucks.
Dude, like, I mean, we talked about the changes to like ammo availability and like optics and everything on the last episode, and like who the cares about the ammo availability?
Yeah, when
I
you
just
can't play a
fall
raid.
over, when I just fall over 20 seconds into a raid without ever seeing anybody, it doesn't matter. And what I'm talking about, like, isn't even the when you just get Tarkov caught out somewhere randomly.
Correct.
It's almost always it's different than it used to be.
Yep.
It's hard to describe, and that's actually something I've been working on, a new video, and I actually like have like 5 iterations of it. I even edited a 20-minute intro that I have since removed because I don't think just for so many reasons. It's like there's too much nuance to it. There's too much context and too much backstory that the people who I'm trying to convince with this video they would have been checked out by now and already commented like, this guy just uses big words and he says nothing. I'm done. And it wasn't until today, I think I'm actually going to scrap another like 10 pages that I have rewritten, and another 20 minutes I've edited to literally what I'm going to do. And I did it like on stream today. I went through like 10 minutes of the raid series, and it's crazy. It was totally unintentional, but what I saw there trying to make a point completely changed my plans because it was just, it was perfect. I had been showing a bunch of clips of me just like running, falling over, dying, and it's like, what the and then I have been in between raids, I've been pulling up all of the old 0.7, 0.8, all the way to like 10.2, 10.5. There was like a year period of time where my goddamn camera thing covered up the version number, so I don't know. I have to go in the wiki and like cross-reference, but just going through all the old highlight footage. And it's actually insane how unrecognizable it is. Like, dude, just running, getting shot, going bop, 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 going, turning, getting behind cover, healing a little bit, looking out, firing a few shots. Like, I haven't experienced that. Like getting into a fight and then running over and looting someone, and I have like zeroed out armor and he has zeroed out armor. When was the last time you saw that? I've never opened up my inventory and had zeroed out armor in 2 years. You just die. It blocks one bullet and then you die. And there's so many things. There was one video where it was just me doing classic Veritas Factory, going through like the bathroom, blind firing over the like shower stalls, jumping over the thing. A hatchling comes out after it's like Fort Val VSS, Giga Chad just spraying each other down in like 1v5s and these epic fights, and then like a hatchling comes out of nowhere and is trying to get me. And then watching the raid series, and they're scrappy, shooting each other, eating bullets in the bathroom, falling over the lockers. At one point, a dude takes out his hatchet and starts. It was like, And the original point that I was making was, people have been saying, they've been trying to argue what we have in the game now and where it's going. The whole like you die of dehydration and you have no stamina and all of this annoying bullshit that I've talked about ad nauseum. That's the game Nikita wants. So adapt or get the out. And I'm like, no. See, here's the thing. You think the metaphor I made was, we're all on this boat. We're all on a ship, right? Nikita's in the captain's quarters. He's not even at the helm steering. He's in the captain's quarters. He's going over his captain's logs, whatever. Like, and it's totally like, he's not in the wrong place. He's doing what he needs to do. And I feel like I'm up on the watchtower and I look, and through the fog, I see a giant iceberg. And I'm like, yo, 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 iceberg, ding, 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 ding. And then the other guy who's in the thing with me is like, dog, I don't see anything. And I'm like, dude, there's an iceberg. And then I look over again at the guy and I see he's got his snorkel and he's got his floaties and his swimsuit ready. And he's like, dude, if you don't like the way that we're going, like, get off the This is the direction we're going.
If
and
you don't trust the captain to drive us right through this iceberg.
So here, like, I agree, like the end, the destination of this cruise that Nikita has planned for, I see that, I know that destination, and I want to get there. Everybody sees the iceberg and thinks because the ship's pointed at it, that's the destination. So you can't point out there's an iceberg and tell the captain to turn the ship. Otherwise, you're going against, it's like, no.
Yeah.
If Nikita, so really what I want to do is try to get Nikita to understand. I think something that really only, I think that these aren't the only people that can understand, but I feel like the people who are most likely to have the best understanding are the ones that have experienced where it was, where it's been, and to see the shift in things.
Yeah.
To really understand, like, and have been playing this whole time. Nikita has been, he's been involved this whole time, but he has a different perspective, right?
Yeah.
Like, how many hours do you think Nikita has in the game? Like maybe 10, maybe 100?
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's not thousands of hours. So the feeling, the essence of, you know, if he goes in and he's running around and he dies and falls over and sees no one, well, that's Tarkov, man. That's like sometimes happens. But if he does that for 8 hours straight, he's going to start to be like, yo, this kind of sucks.
Yep.
And he gets back to his stash, and all he's done all day is buy meds, buy morphine and Salewas, and spend all of his money on water bottles and peas and everything. And every time he buys all that stuff, he dies without ever using it. I used like the first morphine and Propital I think I've used all white today.
Yeah.
I don't get a chance to even heal. I just die before I have a chance. So what I pointed to was, you want to know what Nikita wants for the game? It's not what you think. It's not this nebulous hardcore whatever.
Yeah.
Here's the raid series. And I pulled it up, and it was like a replay of my factory highlights that they laugh at and say is ridiculous, absurd COD gameplay.
Yeah.
And you see these Giga Chads with almost no recoil running around, diving behind explosions and surviving, and their ears are ringing. And it's like, so honestly, I'm just, rather than make like a 40-minute video essay explaining like my whole argument, I'm going to say, look at this raid series clip, my old factory montage clip, the new thing clip, and just hope that like speaks for itself.
Yeah. No, I totally understand. I mean, it like, I think, that's the hard thing. That's the hard, like, cycle we're in, is everybody thinks they know Nikita's vision. That's become like a trump card where like, if you and anybody can use it, you know what I mean? Like, we can be like, Nikita's vision is for things to be more scarce, so we should remove high tier ammos, and people might agree with that or disagree with that. And then other people use the trump card. Well, you know what I mean? Like, the server lagged and you rubber banded. The game's supposed to be hardcore. Nikita's vision is hardcore. It's just this trump card where like, it's so far removed from anything Nikita said at this point. And so we talk about it a lot. I talk about it too. Like, what does the game inform you on? You know what I mean? Like, what is the context of the game, and some of the stuff Nikita has actually said. And then, like the raid series, right? Where that was his baby. He like directed that and wrote the whole thing. And so it is hard, because it's just like the cycle of everything is Nikita's vision, you know, at this point. It's like, oh, and it's become this meaningless thing, and it's so brutal. And then, like you said, Nikita probably doesn't experience it the way we experience it. Like, he probably isn't going home and logging on to get some raids in, right? Because why would you? You know what I mean? Like,
his vision is probably it's probably the raid series. Like, literally, he envisions those types of experiences. And here's the thing, like, it's not like he is worked for Bethesda for 30 years doing like game design. He's not, he has like this artistic vision. Imagine someone who has this amazing imagination and doesn't know how to paint. He has this amazing imagination, doesn't know how to paint, but he has a team of people. Some of them are good at painting, some of them aren't great at painting, some of the paint's bad. It's like, so it's crazy to me that the people have it wrong. They see the way the game is and say, well, that's what Nikita wants. If you don't like the way the game is, then you're playing the wrong game. When really, I see what Nikita wants and what the game could be, and then there's the game. Like, the disconnect is between what the game could be and what it is. Whereas they think it's me and the game. They assume that the game is what Nikita wants, and yet every time I show Nikita clips of any of the things I talk about, he's like, yo, that ain't supposed to be like that. Okay, well then, I wish the 100 people who told me that that's what Nikita wanted would understand that that's not his vision, that someone just fucked something up, or it just didn't quite translate into game mechanics quite in the way he wanted. you know? So anyway, I've been literally ranting about this for like 48 hours straight, and I also have strep throat. So I'm not
Yeah.
even gonna maul about this anymore. It's
No, I feel you though.
ugh.
I feel you. And then this ultimately kind of moves into like the next thing, which is just like I saw you did a bunch of those polls and stuff like that, and like how and then you expressed some frustration about those polls, and it really is basically you asked a bunch of questions. You know, do you think there should be more movement? Do you think there should be less recoil? You know what I mean? And I would say most of the answers, the most voted answer was what we thought, but it wasn't by as big of a margin. It was like there were like tons of people, and you tweeted out something about like people are either afraid to say they want something changed because they're afraid it's going to go all the way, or they think those are the only two options. And it's funny because like today you tweeted something, and I had this conversation in the replies to your tweet because like you were, correct me if I'm wrong here, but your tweet was like, so what I'm hearing is that streamers all think everything is fine. So any streamer friends, can you let me know if I'm crazy or not? What do you think about the movement and the recoil? And so I
Kind of, that's what it was. I said, hey, Tarkov streamers, people say I'm wrong about my takes on these things. Let me, like, if you agree, let me know. Because here's the thing.
Yeah.
I have 1 million DMs with 1 million of the Giga Chad streamers that people point to me and say, this person's not struggling. They're not having a problem, except they're like, and it's not, I'm not even saying that like people are, I'm not saying that like people are intentionally hiding it or whatever, because I know a lot of people talk about this, but not everybody is always watching every person's stream all the time, right? I just remember getting I don't want to throw Trey under the bus. I'm not like trying to call him out, but he literally hit me up the other day and said, hello, we need you so badly to get this recoil addressed. You are the chosen one.
Yeah.
And you know how many people have said, watch Trey, dude, watch Trey. He's the proof that there's nothing wrong.
And so I hopped in.
That's why I basically was like, Trey and everybody like you, please have my back.
Yeah.
You know?
So I responded to your tweet to hop on and threw my take in. I was like, a lot of these places aren't in a good spot. And I put in there, I was like, just because people are proficient at them, it doesn't mean that they're in a good spot at all. Yeah, so mine said, all those systems are in a bad spot. Yes, people can master them and become very effective, but that's far from meaning they're good. Every single high-level chat I talk to on this stuff agrees, and the changes that people want benefit all players. And then somebody was like, I personally don't mind not having circles run around me by guys wearing 80 pounds of gear that can turn on a dime. And I was like, I said, that's exactly the point we're talking about here, is to think that those are the only two options, right? That it's just 400 pounds, 360 no-scoping me, or the system we have now. The system we have now isn't good, and there are things in between. And it's this weird circle of like I don't want the Giga Chads to stomp on me, so it should be hard. And people don't realize that it's like these Giga Chads you're talking about have 5 times the amount of hours in a day that you have to play. So they get to master the broken system, get their skills up. So their strength and endurance is at 40 when yours is at 3, and they've been playing twice as much. So what you're actually doing is you're increasing the delta of how much they can stomp on you. Because when you make the system harder, you have less time to master it than them or even get acquainted with it. And it's like people view changes as if the changes can affect the amount of hours in a day a Giga Chad has to play. Which is just the stupidest thing. This guy's got 10 hours to play. And I'll use me, you know what I mean? Because compared to the average person, I'm the Giga Chad. You know, I stream 40 hours a week. I play this game 40 to 50 hours a week, okay? And you play it 5 hours a week. No system in Tarkov changes this delta at all. So if you make the system harder, I still have 10 times more time than you do to master it. And my skills get leveled up 10 times than you. So now I just dumpster on you and you're even less equipped than you were before. And people are like...
One counter argument to that, though. Someone literally did exactly like... They said what a lot of us are thinking. Someone earlier said, I'm really bad at this game. I really like that there's RNG in the recoil because I actually have a chance.
Yeah, if we're talking about recoil, I was talking about like
Like the
stamina and movement.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
But the recoil randomness really, I mean, really does, right? And so like, and then so there's that. There's nothing that can change how many hours I play and how many hours you play. And people think that they can just make a change and then boom, that's gonna go away. That's not gonna go away. And then oh, what was I gonna say? Oh, I was on.
Sorry,
No,
sorry,
it's
my
fine.
bad.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So, oh, and then, oh, okay. And so then the next fallacy is, well, if we change anything, then that means that it has to be so easy that I can get max strength in a day, and then everything is meaningless. Like if we turn the knob 1 degree, that means it's out of control and everybody's moon boots, jetpacks, trampolines.
It's the slippery slope fallacy.
Exactly. So like those are the two things, and it's like, and we talked about this with like you and me have been talking about this in terms of ammo for literally months, potentially over a year, where it's like if you put stuff found in raid, then it makes it harder for chads to find it and easier for you to find it, right? Because if it's only Peacekeeper 4, Johnny's never going to get to Peacekeeper 4. So the only way he gets this ammo is killing a chad, which is hard to do because Freddy gets Peacekeeper 4 in 48 hours. So in this world, it's really hard. So there aren't many options out there, but let's walk through this idea. If we take X ammo out of Peacekeeper 4 and we put it in the raids, well, now Freddy can't get it whenever he wants, but Johnny might find some. There aren't that many. And so it's mind blowing to me. So when we talk about movement and stuff like that, people are like, well, I don't want people being able to run around and jump around. And it's like, what do you mean? Look around. You 3 tweets ago, you complained that the chads run around and jump around because they have all the time. So there are versions of this stuff where we can make it better for you so that you stand more of a chance. And this isn't going to change. You're just never going to change how much time Freddy has to play the game. You know what I mean? So it's just this weird circle where a lot of times that happens. People look at the chads and then they make assumptions based on what they can or can't do. And then privately, we're all talking and all of these chads, you know, Landmark, Trey, Desmond, Rangar, Tiggs, all these guys, when I talk to them and I'll be like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Like, they all agree, and they all agree on the opposite of what Twitter tells us that they agree on. And it's just this like weird circle of just weird. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like, and the problem is that you have like the response is it's kind of the reason why we end up with the response from BSG, the response that they have in terms of changes, where what people said was, I don't want the Giga Chads sprinting around, jumping all over the place, and AD strafing, and doing the whole, like, you know, run across the doorway free look thing. I hate that. So what they do is they make it so that, like, you can't jump over a log, an overturned log. Like, literally, I have so many clips of me just walking towards like a fence that's half knocked over and trying to jump, and for some reason I get like sucked into like a black hole. Why our stamina is so annoying, which means that you just need to take stims to override it, which means you need 30,000 rubles every raid to effectively ignore all of the things. And so much of it is like not recognizing the core problem. So I forget who it was that was proposing getting rid of, because they don't like that people run by the doorway and free look. So someone was proposing getting rid of free look. And that's a perfect example. I think a lot more people than normal would be like, that's a stupid idea. But I would agree that a lot of things that those people might be like, that's kind of reasonable, I would be like, it's also a stupid idea, because what happens, let's say they remove free look. Well, now none of us can free look. One of the things that was like the most immersive information gathering, whatever. And instead, what would happen? Like, what would happen is now the Chads would jump, turn 180,
Exactly.
and go sideways past the doorway.
Yes.
So nothing would be solved, except now for everybody, we have one less good thing.
Exactly.
And that's every single feature we have in the game now
exactly
is a complete misunderstanding. What the problem is,
yeah, exactly.
you know what the core problem is, that there's no way to reasonably get information in the game.
Yes.
So imagine if you could sneak. If you could sneak, I would instantly no longer do that. I would do, it would be like this, right? Here's the doorway. Here's the doorway, and you'd see. But see, the problem is now, if I even slow walk with an empty bag, it's like, hey, everybody, come and look over at the doorway. I'm about to peek it. If I peek it, I'm gonna insta die.
Yeah.
So it's like the problem, everybody is so basic and so literal and so intellectually lazy that they look at problem and they say, me see problem running, problem make no run, problem jump, make no jump, problem free look, make no free look. Where it's like, why are they doing that? They're doing that because they can't do all of these other things. So rather than remove reasonable things,
give them more things to do.
Give them more things to do.
Dude, that's 100%. And a great example of that is like the meta guns, right? Where it's like everybody sees the meta gun and they go nerf, nerf mutant, nerf mutant, nerf mutant, nerf mutant. And it's like, and I think some guns do need to be nerfed, but a lot of times the answer is, can we make more guns viable? You know what I mean? Can I make it so when I'm shooting an MP9, you know what I mean? Or an MP5 SD, I'm not like, I'm shooting the ceiling. And exactly that. It's like people just want to stomp everything down and take away, when in reality, choice is your best friend. You're looking at it so much so through the lens, not you obviously, but the people are looking at it so much so through the lens of, I hate that guy beat me. What can I take from them? And you don't realize you're taking from yourself. And so when we nerf it all down to just like one gun is meta, well, then they just use that gun all the time, and you have a bunch more guns that suck. Whereas if more things are viable, if it's compressed a little bit more, well, now because you have options, you're more viable against those people. And so like, dude, I had never put that together, but I think like you really hit the nail on the head as a lot of like the meta movement, whether it's free looking doors, whether it's like crazy holding right side peaks, whether it's like the weird lean glitches that let you, move out. It's because we don't have any good ways to get information. And because the reason we all jump and free look is because there are only two volumes, laying prone at an extract or a herd of elephants. So the people that are proficient are the people that use herd of elephants to their advantage, right? Like if sneak was added into the game, the meta would shift so quickly, because if you weren't able to adapt to that, like the herd of elephant mentality would just like, so I don't know. So that's like such a great point where it's like, there are not enough ways to gather information. And because of that, all these things happen. And then we just say, we'll remove that thing. That'll fix it. And it's far away from what's actually wrong.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is why we can't have nice things. Yeah. Because the only time, because the popular thing is the obvious easy thing.
Yep.
And when a million people are all malding about the same thing, Nikita goes, okay, let me tackle the thing everybody's complaining about, which is jumping.
Yeah.
And being able to sprint super fast.
Yeah.
And now we're left with the fact that you need to be level 30 with like mid-level skills before you don't feel like a baby giraffe walking through a pool full of quicksand.
Yep. And that didn't hurt the people you wanted it to hurt, because like
they're already level 50 with max skills. And they're like, what are you complaining about?
Johnny Gigachad gets to max traders in 1 week every wipe. So it's like, well, let's make it so you're a baby giraffe until level 40 strength. It's like, okay, he's level 40 strength in a week and a half, just like he's always been. So you changing what level 40 strength is, he's just still going to be there 8 times faster than you. So now you're a baby giraffe forever, and he's a baby giraffe for 2 more days.
Yeah, and not even that too. People come up with like metas are created to find like the path of least resistance, right, to like the min-maxed thing. So what you end up with is a situation where the gameplay cycle requires that you got to do food runs. Sorry, you got to do money runs and or food runs to sustain the fact that every other run you're taking a bunch of drugs, and it costs money to buy those drugs because those drugs drain a bunch of other resource bars. But in order to do those 17 other prerequisite things, well, now the issue that stamina is completely and utterly busted is completely missing, and you forget that because you just used to spawning in and going and all you're doing, you spawn in and you take 30,000 rubles and you light it on fire, and you say, well, now I'm gonna have a less AIDS raid than everybody who doesn't light 30,000 rubles on fire. It doesn't add to the game. It doesn't make you better if you take stims. You're not better at the game. The game is worse for requiring that and for rewarding it.
That'll preach. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not half as good. I'm not half as good as Trey 24K, as Glorious, as Landmark, as these dudes. They're really good. I'm not half as good. I spent almost 1 million rubles on SJ6s today, trying to get, and I'm like not nearly as good as these guys. And it's like, and so it's like, if you're like, well, I don't have 1 million rubles to spend on SJ6s, it's like, yeah, wouldn't it be nice if none of us had to do that? Because then you just get to run around and be this fast, and the game would be more fun for you. You know what I mean? Like at that point, it's like, what are you happy that I have 1 million less rubles because I spent it on SJ6, or would you be happier if I had that extra 1 million rubles because I didn't have to spend it, but you had fun raids?
Dude, no, but everything you talked about, is irrelevant though, because it's so easy to make 1 million rubles, right? I just scav around on interchange and fill my bag with junk, avoid all combat, and then the first PMC I see, I VoIP and tell him to take the exfil, and we go and take it. Tarkov is so great.
And
it's like,
if you have 10,000
that's the vision of Nikita, is you need to play scav to be a pacifist, to avoid combat, to fill your backpack with junk, to then not kill the people who, like, historically and lore wise you're kind of there to kill and to cause problems for, so that you can support the drug habit of your PMC in order to bypass mechanics that shouldn't be in the game. Well, not shouldn't be in the game. That shouldn't be dialed to 12. Because I don't want any of the, I don't want meta anim, like, despite what you see in all the clips that I show of the good old days, when you see me getting shot and running, and you see just like IFAC, like the bar go by, I'm using
noise too.
You see me click and drag the 60 rounds into the mag, and it's click, and it's 60 rounds full, right? Like, those aren't the things that I don't want a bunch of mechanics removed. I don't want things oversimplified, but the reason why the game felt good was, I mean, there's a clip of me getting shot on Shoreline, and it's a perfect example of what the adrenaline system that we want would look like. Because I'm like in a fight, and then I go around outside of the fence, outside of like a house, because I fought like a 2-man, and someone like a sniper off in the distance hit me, and I like ran through the bush, and he hits me again, and all of a sudden my legs blacked out, and I'm limping, and I go painkiller, and then I can run 5 more feet to go around the corner, slide in, and like start healing. It was like I limped and was like, oh, and then adrenaline kicked in with the no med animation painkiller. And it gave me enough energy to get around the corner. And yeah, Uneventful and Tower sent me a bunch of clips that we were watching too. Uneventful, our homie, Uneventful Gaming, who's an actual IRL like special forces guy. He sent me a video of a guy he knows that he got shot with, I don't even remember what caliber, like 7.62 maybe, in real life, twice, one in the chest, one in the back, and one in the leg. And you see him sprinting across the street going, I'm hit.
Damn.
He got like a giant gaping hole in the guy's back. Now, he ran down the road across the street and then ended up on his back, but like his adrenaline and stamina got him to safety, and the guy survived. But people want to say, oh, you think you could survive getting shot? Yes. That's my answer now. Yep. Like, sure, yeah, I think I could. Because all I need to do is provide one YouTube clip and their argument is invalid, right?
Yeah.
If you say something isn't realistic and then I show you a clip of it happening in real life, your argument that it's not realistic is invalid. And one of the side effects too, the last thing real quick, is because there was so much less to do in the game. There was no flea market, there was no hideout, there was only a couple of barters.
Yeah.
You got back to your stash and it was like 7 clicks to get back into a raid.
Yeah.
You didn't have to go through the healing thing, you didn't have to buy food and prepare. You just armor, gun, ammo, bang, go.
Yeah.
And it's not that I want all that stuff back in the game, or
you don't
removed,
want the flea market
but it's
removed,
like, how great is it when you die in a skill-based game to a sick fight that you survived a couple minutes into, but then got outplayed or even got Tarkoved or whatever, you end up back in your stash and you're back in a minute.
Yeah.
It's just a better experience for everybody. Casuals, to the people that play 8 hours a day, you get 10 more raids in. The people that can only play 1 hour a day, you get 3 raids in instead of 1.
Yep.
So I'll stop ranting.
No, dude, I'm with you on everything. The only thing I was gonna say is like the adrenaline thing that we've talked about. Like those are the times to like I think about the clip that you said. I haven't seen that clip, but the dude gets like lit up and then he gets to where he needs to go and he's like on his back and he like can't get back up. Like those would be cool times to like, when the adrenaline effect, the status effect, like if it existed, was active, that's when your like energy and hydration are like ripping down. And like normally it's much more like it depletes much less. Like that would be fun where it's like there is a sacrifice. It's not free. It's not just this like free like, oh, I get to be shot and run wherever and forever. But it would just feel so much better to be able to like get to where you want to go and then either engage or disengage. Once again, like this would help the people, the casuals. How many, like, if you only play 3 raids a day, how frustrating is it when of those 3 raids you get shot in the leg and now you can't walk because you can't afford an ibuprofen every 3 raids because you take 5 uses of your ibuprofen, so you're not pre-pop, you get shot and now you're limping and then you just get shot in the head and it's like that whole raid is over and you could have just gotten in the door and ran away. You know, you could have gotten behind that rock, used your painkiller or morphine and ran away from the fight. You don't have to take every fight. Of course, we look at it through the lens of like we want to like have these crazy fun PvP fights because we're, you know, veterans of the game, but it's like it helps everybody. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and I mean I this has been something I've just been like ranting about, looking at all the old for like the last couple of days.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, everybody here, if you listen to the podcast, know how like passionate I get and how often people like interpret that as me being like mad and going crazy, where I'm like, you know, like, it's so funny. And someone came in earlier and posted a link, which is a perfect segue into the second sponsor of the stream. Someone posted a link to a Reddit thread that said, "Is anybody else concerned about Veritas?"
Is this an old one?
No, brand new one. Like the last couple of days, she's been having a mental breakdown, blah blah blah, and it's like they're concerned about me, right? And someone came in, posted the clip. I saw it. And thanks to this episode's second sponsor, BetterHelp.
BetterHelp.com.
I'm just not going to click on the Reddit thread, and I'm not going to read it because it's not worth it and it doesn't matter. For those of you that don't know, BetterHelp is basically like a digital platform that allows you to get mental health services, therapy, you know, all kinds of stuff like that. And it's been, contrary to what people who come in and watch my stream for 15 seconds in the middle of like a random rant think, things over the last month have been progressively getting better for me since like I've there's been ups and downs and stuff, sure. But man, without therapy, things would be rough. So yeah, like it's such a convenient platform because it's all online. It's super quick. The ability to like find a therapist, to be able to, if you don't jive with them after 1 or 2 sessions, to be able to like quickly and without like the shame of you know, having to switch, you can just easily switch and have somebody to talk to. you know, whether or not it's dealing with like depression, whether or not you have issues at work, issues with relationships, issues with, you know, getting completely and utterly torn down mentally and emotionally by Escape from Tarkov on stream every day in front of hundreds of people. There's so many things it can help with.
Yeah.
And honestly, like the whole stigma around mental health is slowly getting
For sure.
smaller and smaller. And I've had a number of people reach out to me that are active duty military, law enforcement that have been asking me recently about BetterHelp. Yeah, just working with a therapist.
Yeah.
Can genuinely improve your life and get you to where you want to be. And like I'm my biggest critic, and I know that like I'm not where I want to be.
Yeah.
You know, in life, mentally, emotionally, like we're all a work in progress. So
Yep.
anyway, if you want to, oh no, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, it really is. We've talked before about both of our personal experiences with therapy and how impactful it's been for us. And then B, just like how this really feels like almost like a better, it's not something that they adapted to the internet. It's something that like the internet has been used to make it better. Because like, think about how many steps, like you were saying, are involved in like, you schedule an appointment and you don't drive with them and they want to schedule another appointment with you. So you schedule one, then you have to call it cancel. Then you have to Google another person like that and then schedule an appointment with that's just like gets smashed down to 30 seconds. You can have an appointment and you can be like, you know what? I want to try someone else. You just click your time, your place. It's just crazy. Like, so it really feels like this has made this easier and better. You know what I mean? So it's been, yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, in a nutshell, if you want to live a happier, more empowered life, therapy can genuinely get you there, and BetterHelp can help. So if you want to check it out, go to betterhelp.com/pogcast. You can get 10% off your first month. So that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/podcast. And thank you a ton for BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode and for helping me stay sane and not quitting content creation.
And not clicking the Reddit link.
Yep.
Not clicking the godforsaken Reddit link. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Moving on from that, I feel like we've had that conversation so many times, by the way. It's just this is therapy for us. The conversation about like the community and just like how people respond and react. And it just like, it feels like, and it really is, it's always the vocal minority, right? Like if we say the game's in a good spot, this is Nikita's vision, then it's like, what do you mean? This is the worst spot it's ever been in. But if we're like, we should change something, it's like, what do you mean? You get hardcore. So we've gone down that road many, many times. All that being said, we talked about this like very briefly beforehand. Did you see the tweet about the things that are coming, the hotfix?
I keep looking at it in the middle of like a conversation or a rant or whatever, and like seeing a couple of things, but I haven't actually sat down to read it. I kind of just want to like read it. So
yeah,
you want me to go ahead? I can just read.
Yeah, just list it off.
So 7 hours ago, Battle State Games, and I have to always double check it's not Batter State or Ball State Games. People were freaking out the other day because they were saying, yo, they're adding phone verification. Oh, hell yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, kind of cool, but kind of annoying. Like, well, it's not going to do anything, but, you know, whatever. And people were having the debate about it, and someone was like, you got debated. It's Ball State Games. But this is B State Games. Okay, it's the right Twitter account.
Yeah.
An estimated plan of the changes, fixes, and improvements that will be included in the upcoming hot fixes. Fixing issues that occur with binaural sound on. Now, I'm hoping that is
the issue of it not working.
Not on. When it's on, it's not on. I'm hoping
that would be the main one.
I'm like actually just a little worried with the wording of that like all of a sudden now imagine if they just like remove whatever like the issue was causing the frame drops and it still does nothing.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to do another comparison video, you know, but we'll see. Adjustments to sound positioning, footstep noise, and incorrect headset settings. I have a feeling that that's going to be like like nerfing the volume of all of the headsets right now, because like the difference between footsteps without headphones and with footsteps with
Yeah.
headphones is it's absurd, like broken, and I can't tell if it's not loud enough without headphones or if it's way too loud.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's way too loud
Yeah.
with headphones.
Yeah.
But yeah, who knows what that's all about.
Yep.
Tweaking additional aspects of Oculus audio on all locations. So I'm assuming that's basically just going to be the occlusion.
Yep. Zones.
Yep. Fixing issues when using the gym for some players. I still haven't unlocked the gym. I finally was able to knock the wall down, although I bought the hammer. It got to the point where I was like, wait, you can buy the hammer on the flea market? I was like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna keep like farming this because I could never find it.
Yeah.
I don't know what the issues using the gym are for some people.
So you get muscle fatigue, which basically is a way from preventing you from just like constantly using the gym and farming your skills all the way to 100. And that fatigue wouldn't go away for some people. It was like bugged out. So I'm assuming that's what they're addressing.
All right then. Fixing a number of bugs in the stash hideout and UI in general. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. Geometry and lighting fixes for streets. Okay, cool.
There are a few places you shouldn't have been able to get to.
Maybe some of those geometry and lighting issues also contributed to performance stuff. Who knows, right? Like, the new player group system. I think this is the thing that we thought they were going to add in.
Yeah, so many people were like, a group system for new players, and it's a new player group system, not a new player group system.
Oh,
put the emphasis on the wrong syllable there. You know what I mean? Like, it's a grouping system that is new. It's not a grouping system for new players.
Skill-based matchmaking? Yay!
Yeah, dude, it people immediately. Which I'm assuming is, they put the whole like, look for players extra button. I'm assuming that has something to do with it.
Oh, yikes. Okay. Then there's the DLSS update. Cool. I'm like literally I'm waiting a while until I do any amount of testing or tweaking of any settings. Yeah. Anything with video stuff.
I tried FSR just to see if it would help my frames, and I just had the same amount of frames and it looked different, so I was like, well, I'll turn that off.
Yeah. Fixing issues when interacting with certain weapons. Oh, like the inability to actually control it, like your arms aren't made of noodles.
Yep. I would hope so.
It's probably some like awkward bug with like one rare gun that makes it so that like your hands get stuck or something that no one ever experiences. And then several other changes and fixes. Looking forward to several other changes and fixes. I'm glad they mentioned that. Several others.
At least they didn't mention memory leak again, like they do every time.
Removal of the memory leak.
Yeah.
But, improvements to networking and
scavs won't instantly crouch or prone. That was in so many times before they actually removed that.
Scavs won't instantly crouch or prone. What was the other one that they put in there that like was wrong for the longest time too? Oh, what was it? Damn, I don't remember.
So this was interesting because like they haven't done that often, if ever, before, by the way. Like this whole like, here's a plan for the most, like the changes we're doing soonest. So I'm glad that they put that, you know what I mean? I don't know. We don't know how long until this hotfix happens, hopefully soon. They didn't really mention network at all, which is sad.
I mean, I imagine they're always working on it all the time. They just never announce anything until they have like some sort of noteworthy change.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah. So I mean, hey, that's good. Listen, I'm not gonna snap back at that. I'm excited. Obviously, the audio is the big thing here. Multiple different things were mentioned towards the audio. hopefully that works. Please, please, please. Hopefully like the sneaking is back, because yeah, whether that's a headphone thing or whether that's bug in Oculus Audio or whatever, it would be nice to be able to like slow creep again. And yeah, so some things coming. We don't know when. It hasn't happened yet. Yeah, I don't know. We don't know.
We'll see.
We'll see.
But yo, the first raid of the day, maybe three streams ago, I was doing an immersion raid like I normally do. I start the stream with the camera off and everything. Dude, if they remove free look from the game, no more immersion raids.
Yeah,
that's literally like 90% of the immersion is just like looking around.
Yep.
So what the hell happened? Was just running around. I heard footsteps nearby, some people running around, all this stuff. And all of a sudden I hear a guy who's like, yo, hey, I'm friendly, whatever. I'm pretty sure it was a player, although I can't be sure. I never saw him. I just heard him. He's like, yeah, you don't need to shoot me, whatever. So he like ran away. I'm like, yeah, dude, it's all good. I'll let you go. Like at this point,
yeah,
I don't even have any confidence that I can straight up 1v1 like a Mosenling or whatever now. So I'm like, yeah, sure, dude, off. Then later on, I reposition and I come into like that middle tech building where there's like a big garage with like all the tech stuff and like a bunch of trucks and whatever. In the middle of reserve, and I hear in the other side of the building, two people voiping, and I was doing like the in-game voice lines, the like, hello, hold your fire, yes, because I was doing the immersion, so I wasn't voiping, and the two guys were like laughing or whatever, and one of the guys was like, yeah, there's a guy over there, blah blah blah, and I was like, okay, interesting. They ended up going their separate ways. And then I go down into the basement. And as I'm coming down, I'm like real far away from a guy. I hear a dude in the middle, where the raiders spawn. There's all those big not cardboard, but like wood boxes, the crates with all the food and in that main area, outside of where the switch is. And I see the guy like, oh, hey, what's up? What's up, dude? I'm not gonna kill you. Like, it's so weird. The first thing someone says is, yeah, I'm not gonna kill you, dude.
Yeah.
I'm already like, So I like go and walk over, and I see the guy, and he's got like a weird, like a leg up in the air, kind of weird, like slides over to the box, starts looting the box, and I'm already like, oh, wow, like almost 10,000 hours. Never seen a fly hacker before.
That's crazy.
I instantly like turn on VoIP, and I'm like, yo, dog, you cheating? He's like, nah, man, just floating, just floating, her, like. And I was like, really, man? Really? And of course he's like, starts flying over. And I forget what I said, but I laid into him with an AK, just bop, 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 bop. And he's like, dude, I don't take damage, man. I was like, sick, like, cool. So I'm just following him around, like, being like, dude, what the like, why are you doing this, you degenerate loser? Like, and of course the guy, like, they always have the biggest egos where they're like, he said ask me whatever you want, man. Like, I care. I care. Like, he's like this, I've got the hidden knowledge, man.
And that's why so many people do it, because they just want to feel special, dude.
Oh, it's so like,
it's dirty.
Like, dude, there's nothing
gross.
I want to know from your dumbass. And then at one point he's like, yeah, there's a guy over there, he's probably gonna kill you. And so I'm like voiping, I'm like, stop, run away, like, this guy's a cheater, whatever. As this whole thing's going on and the guy's just being a mega douchebag, a bunch of people in chat are like, shoot him in the legs, shoot him in the legs, shoot him in the legs. Like, so at one point when he kind of stops, falls over dead.
You were like, fine, I'll do it to indulge you, but like, I've already shot at him, and then it worked.
Yeah.
Like, I would have.
So
what?
So, I mean, there's multiple cheats. I'm sure they're not all created the same, but if you come across anybody who they just look weird, where they've got like one leg up, it's like they're like stuck in a weird animation and they're just kind of slide around. I've seen people like kind of floating. This guy was just like rollerblading. Like he wasn't flying, he was just sliding everywhere.
Interesting.
So then I killed him. He was level 2. Sent him a bunch of messages in game being like, what the dude, you know, all this stuff, getting some information.
Banned in 10.
It'll no comment. No comment. But I will say that once I did the whole, like at one point I finally was like, yeah, man, you know, you should come in and answer some questions in my stream. Gave him the link to my stream, Veritas, and he's like, yeah, who's Veritas, whatever. I'm like, yeah, okay, like very funny, you know, like if I said my name was Ski Master 420, he wouldn't be like, who's that, you know what I mean? Like he's just trying to be like a toxic dickhead. When he came in and realized that it was me, he actually ended up being like, yo, I respect you and the content you make, all this stuff. And I was basically like, yo, you want to like make this right, you know, in some way. And I've been talking with him and getting information with him and passing along information and links. So yeah, I'll say no more.
That's sick, actually.
But like, I'll spend all day. I'll spend 8 hours straight trying to stick it to like one group of 30 cheaters in a Discord. If that's what it takes, like that's so much more satisfying than actually playing the game at the moment. Yeah, like it's just dog shit. The hard part though, like honestly, it's kind of rough in a lot of ways because I've been doing this kind of thing for years now, and I can never talk about it, and I'm just sick of not talking about it. But like as soon as you talk about it, well then like you'll either get targeted by the cheaters. I mean, I already feel like I'm potentially getting targeted, like so I just don't care anymore. Like it just doesn't. You can't bring me down lower than I am already now. So you know, do your worst.
Yeah.
But then there's also the element of like people that help might get doxxed, threatened. Like there's all kinds of other things where like a lot of times the cheats are directly tied to you. So they know. Yeah, it's I just don't even want to. The hard part is that you can't talk about any of these things, right? In just the same way that if Nikita was like, here's how we solve this problem. We ban these other people because we found these 6 exploits and we got rid of all of this stuff. You can't do that without tipping your hands to the cheaters. And so like, all I'll say is it's a part-time hobby of mine, infiltrating this and doing stuff behind the scenes. And it's just like fun. But it's also part of why I hate when people are like, Nikita doesn't care and they're doing nothing, when like that's the one thing Nikita's enthusiastic about. He's like, yeah, dude, tell me everything, give me everything, like more than any of the other issues. So you know, but moral of the story is if you see someone floating around, shoot them in the legs.
Shoot them in the legs. That's crazy.
I guess I hate that I have to. It's so funny that like over the last couple of days, there's been so many things that have been like memes that I've rolled my eyes at for years about like, you know, people are like, yeah, leg meta is the way to go. Did everybody do leg meta? And it's like now that every gun has so much recoil and that you can kill cheaters by shooting them in the legs, all the people that have been wrong for the last 4 years are suddenly now right. Now shooting for the legs is the best way to
kill a cheater.
It's the only chance you have at headshotting somebody or killing cheaters is aiming for the legs. So there you go.
Do you see like the first week or two, it was really bad. People were just flying across the bridge to kill Zerachi.
Oh God, really?
Because it's the only way you can get over there. Like, and they were like listing his face mask on the flea market in like bulk, like 5 at a time. It's like, which I actually just found out recently that you can report suspicious flea market listings.
I saw that Twitter post. Like so today I learned.
Yeah, so it was like, you know, Zerachi masks, you know, a pack of 10. It's like, report? You know what I mean? Like, weird. What? I mean, now we're at a point where like some people are getting those quests and actually able to cross, and then if you cross and you kill Zerachi, you can, you know, whatever. Like, so it's, But like day 2 of the wipe, you know, pack of 10 Zerachi mask. It's like, no way, bro. Like, no shot. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, KSP 2 comes out in a month. Oh my God.
Oh shoot, does it really?
I'm rock hard for this, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm actually like, part of me is so nervous that like it's not gonna like, not that
No,
it's not gonna suck, but I'm worried that it's not gonna pull me in.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's gonna be amazing. But yeah.
KSP is Kerbal Space Program 2 for people in chat are asking. Kerbal Space Program 2. It's I mean, I don't even know how you describe it. Your job is to engineer space travel and manage it, and it's extremely hard and extremely complex, and it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like if you go play the game completely sight unseen,
yeah,
what you'll do is you'll go and you'll build the ship, and it's like you'll grab an engine, put the engine on top, you'll stack 4 fuel tanks, and then you'll put like the cockpit on top, and you're like, cool.
It'll tip over
and you'll launch, and it'll go wah, 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 rip itself apart like a mile up in the air, and all of your guys they look like little green minions, these goofy little Kerbals, and it's kind of hilarious that they're like, whoa, you know, but it's amazing. Like the physics is unbelievable.
Yeah, how accurately it's simulated.
I mean, like literally, I've researched orbital dynamics
to get better at Kerbal Space Program.
Oh yeah, like all of the ways in which like Tarkov's has like how much is like obscured from you and you have to learn. All of the bad ways in which Tarkov does that are good in KSP because it's like they're not game mechanics, it's physics.
Yeah.
It's just physics, you know? So literally having to learn, dude, it took me a month to replicate the Apollo landing on the moon mission. I can't explain to you how gratifying it is.
Yeah.
To be able to get your ship with multiple stages. You literally build the stages, and there's like, you press your button when you get, you know, so far up and you're out of fuel, and it drops the stage. Depending on how you connected it and the angle and everything, it can interfere with the ship, or it can cause the ship to break apart.
Yeah.
So you need to make it so that it's clean, and then you need to get up and make sure you're at the right trajectory and everything.
Yeah.
And then you want to get into a stable orbit around, I'll say Earth, but it's Kerbin. It's basically like our solar system, kind of. And then from there, you then need to actually like schedule kind of like a rendezvous with the moon, so that when you're like coming around, you need to burn at a particular direction and in the right place, so it'll slingshot you towards the moon. And then you end up in an encounter where you need to get captured by the gravity of the moon, and then you're effectively turn backwards and burn, which then allows you to then orbit around there, and then you detach the lander from the part that orbits, and the lander goes down, and you need enough fuel for all of this. The first time you get up into space and you want to go to the moon, if you survive, which is like next to impossible for anybody who's like new to the game, you'll burn your engines halfway to the moon and you run out of fuel, and it's like, well, I guess I'm just floating in space forever
now.
There's nothing you can do. So it's all about like efficiency. You can't just put 10 more fuel tanks on, because it's more weight,
and you burn fuel faster.
But dude, the first time you're able to like zoom out and see that the orbiter is coming, and you take off, and you like make it so that you're in a spaceship coming up, and you rendezvous with your own ship, and then you're in like the cockpit, and you look and you see like the nav ball and all the things, and you just slowly are like to the point where you line up, reconnect, start the burn, and make it back.
So
Dude, the moment I landed back on Kerbin after I made it to the moon, did the lander with the rendezvous, it was like almost in tears, like literally.
That's so sick.
It's like now the appreciation I have for the Apollo missions, I can't even explain to you, because that's what they did. But they did it with TI-83 calculator equivalents, running the
calculators and hand doing a bunch of the math. Like,
Unreal. And when I say TI-83 calculators, I mean like super basic computers with limited resources, no memory, no processing power, and they made it to the fuck moon. They put huge, you know, like, oh man. But yeah. And then, I mean, then getting to like any of the other planets, like there are planets that are on at orbit, slightly tilted, and the planets are massive and dense.
Yeah.
It's a completely different. So what you need to do is launch stuff and build a spaceship in orbit and connect 5, 6, 7 pieces, because there's no way you can, if something is so big, there's not enough fuel or power to get it up. So you need to build it in pieces. But then once you make it to the planet, the mass and the gravity is so strong that you need like infinitely more fuel than you could know. So a lot of times you need to build it in pieces, launch it, and that's like one of 4 pieces to then build when you get there.
Oh my god.
And KSP2 is going to have like automated, like almost like Factorio satisfactory level, where like mining resources and stuff, and interstellar travel potentially, and I'm multiplayer. Like I can't wait, dude.
That's sick. And it comes out when, in a month?
Yeah. The early access comes out in a month. They just put a video out last week where one of the guys went and went to one of the, not the Saturn V. What are the Falcon rocket?
Yeah.
The Falcon rocket launch with 9 like production quality microphones all over the place and recorded it. And at the end of the video, they show like the Kerbal, like, and you just hear the crackling of that engine and everything. And it's like, he went into like the giant manufacturing bay and like popped the balloon to get the impulse response of this thing. So now when you're building your ship, all of the sound effects and and everything, it's like, oh god, it's gonna be so good.
That's so sick. That's so sick. That's cool, man. Yeah, I'm trying to think of this other stuff that I'm looking forward to. At some point later this year, I'll have to, we'll get you back on Star Citizen and we'll do some shenanigans.
Star Citizen looked amazing 4 years ago.
Yeah. They're doing they're adding a bunch of stuff, that a bunch more things to do, more professions, more like soft death, where like previously every time you would, like if you were in a dogfight, you would and you won, the other ship would blow up in the Star Wars thing. Well, like now they're adding where there's like an 80% chance that the ship will just become inert. And if
like
there
escape pod,
and if there are players on it, the players will most likely survive. If there's AI on it, the AI would die. But then you could potentially board that ship and then steal their cargo if you wanted to, or it turns space battles into space battles plus FPS battles, because there's ships. Yeah, exactly. There are ships in the game that can hold like 30, 40, 50 crew. You know what I mean? So it's like it can become like a thing. And like people like piracy is going to be a huge thing, because like one of the big professions in the game is like cargo hauling. You load up your big ship full of stuff, and then you just take it over there, you sell it for more money. Well, now people are just going to like sit. I mean, already in the game, there are ships that can pull you like that do this big old EMP. So you can like pull people out of quantum travel, EMP, make them complete, and then like take out their engines and then like go board them and steal their cargo. Bunch of cool stuff has been added to the game this year, but not yet. Later on, way later on. But that's one. You know what else actually has been really interested that I've been watching from afar still is like DMZ. They added like labs, like basically Terra Group labs. Like it's called Building 21, and it's like a super small indoor laboratory map where it's just like 12 PMCs and like minimal AI. Like it's,
what the fuck?
It's like the PvP map.
Oh my god.
And so like think about like how much better. If you're a Call of Duty player, you might not like Call of Duty's gunplay, but coming from Tarkov and being critical of like the guns and the recoil, and then when we played DMZ, that was,
and then the movement.
Exactly. And so it's like Building 21 is just like 12 players, PvP insanity. There's key cards you can get and find in the big map and take them there and get good loot and stuff like that. It's like, it's funny. I've seen like 3 or 4 different Warzone streamers. Like they got big and have played Warzone 1 and we're super excited about Warzone 2. I've seen so many clickbaity thumbnails that it's like DMZ is better than Warzone 2. Why the DMZ is the most fun you can have in Call of Duty right now. Like people are like all the people that were like, this is going to kill Tarkov, they don't like it because they came at it from the wrong angle. But everybody that was like pumped for Warzone 2 hates Warzone 2 and loves DMZ. And so it's been, I've been seeing some stuff and I was like, damn, that actually looks kind of fun.
Dude, I've been rewatching. We talk about all the movement and recoil and stuff because I'm sick of hearing people say, you want COD recoil, you want COD movement. And then when you look like the answer now is yeah. Like at this point, the animations, the gun handling, when you're shooting your rifle and you can quickly like just bring the rifle down, take out your sidearm, the animations, like the one thing that Tarkov has the best in the world is the 3D modeling and the weapon handling manipulation animations. I mean, now they just don't. Like DMZ has them beat. Yeah. Not to mention even like Ready or Not and other things that also are like amazing. But the animations and the weapon handling and all that stuff is phenomenal. And then like the recoil is a much better balance of like the like controllability, but also realistic. You know, and then the movement. Say what you want about the movement. Like people say they hate COD movement because what they see is the slide canceling, like it's Apex Legends, you know, whatever. But at the end of the day, the fact that the character goes where you want and you have the ability for like realistic, reasonable vaulting, climbing. Ignore the jump off a roof and deploy a wingsuit, you know, like ignore that. The movement is it might be too fast for Tarkov, slightly too fast. You dial back the speed of everything. And it's one of the best first-person movements of any game I've ever played.
And that's the thing. If you came from Warzone 2, they hate it because it's a little bit slower. They already did dial it down. So everyone's like, you remember that clip? I think it was Tiggs, and it was like the clip in black and white, and it was like all the old footage, and it was like that song was over it, and it was like, remember? People are making those montages with like Warzone 1 stuff like that. And it was, I mean, legitimately like you just actually put Call of Duty on crack cocaine. It was insane. But DMZ movement and like Warzone 2 movement, if you come from Tarkov, it's like, oh my God, please I would pay anything for this. You know what I mean? Yeah, maybe dial it down 1 or 2 more degrees, but like it's so fluid and
the funny part is people say like it's the example of like the movement's good now. It's better than what we used to have, like the COD movement. And it's like, well, the movement we had before wasn't like COD movement, but
the new COD
if it was,
movement
I would want it. Like I don't know if they're thinking about Modern Warfare 2 or Black Ops or whatever I don't know what they're picturing, but like the latest COD movement is phenomenal.
It's good.
It feels like you're driving like a Ferrari.
Yep.
And right now Tarkov feels like my first car. I bought a purple 2001 Lincoln Continental for my grandmother. And it had multiple settings. And when you put it in like luxury mode, dog, you know how like when you're driving on the highway and you want to change lanes, it's like this?
Yep.
Dog, in that Lincoln, it was like changing lanes on the highway. I'm a boat. The whole thing goes, but it was like nice and but like that's what it feels like in Tarkov. Step on the gas and it's like and the engine's really loud, but nothing's happening. And then all of a sudden it's like, and you see the whole thing lean back. And it was like, it feels like my Lincoln.
Yeah.
You know, and DMZ feels like a Ferrari. Old Tarkov felt like my old BMW. You know, where it was like, I'd rather have that on track day, you know, because I can like at least feel the tires on the grip on the road. And like, I feel confident I'm not going to slide out. You know, but
now that we know there's a Ferrari out there, you're like, oof.
And everybody's saying
this a little bit more for my style, and it would be.
Oh, dude, the montage I had in my video that I literally scrapped, and I don't know if I'm going to show. But did you ever watch Top Gear?
A little bit, yeah.
There's the episode with the Reliant Robin, the 3-wheeled car. Oh, dude, it's a 3-wheeled car. I literally edited this in with like a Tarkov countdown, and the way this all plays out. Jeremy Clarkson's like, all right, we're going to go, blah, blah. And he's like coming out of a parking lot. He turns left, and it's got one wheel in the front. He turns out of the parking lot, and it goes just on the side, and he's like, ah, like scraping in, like hits a pole. He's got a helmet on it, and the whole episode is him just talking about the car, takes a turn, car rolls over, slides, and then someone comes and flips the car over, and he just keeps driving.
What the
and I'm
hell?
like, this is what Tarkov feels like. And then the metaphor that I did was, and everybody is saying that this is their favorite streamer, and it was Reliant Robin like race driving, where like they're all souped up, but it's all awkward. And I'm like, everybody's saying, look, here's my favorite streamer.
They can do it.
They can do it. Look, and it's like, why would I want that when I can drive a Lamborghini?
Yeah, or even a Honda with 4 wheels.
Yeah, and that's literally what I said. It's like, but at least the Tarkov back in the day had 4 wheels.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Damn. That's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know if you've got anything else. Where I know we're getting to the end, and I wanted to talk about the story time, the little ethical dilemma.
Yes.
And pick your brain.
Yep. No, I'm
Is there anything else?
No.
Okay. So I was the manager. I actually don't want to get too specific. But when I was in college, I was a manager at a company.
Okay.
And oh God, you know what?
Schmutty baked schmam.
Schmutty baked ham. Oh my God. No, man. God, okay, wait. I gotta figure out how to abstract this out. All right, let's pretend I'm gonna totally change the names and faces of have been changed to protect the innocent, blah blah blah. Okay. So let's say I was at a like a dune buggy, like a dune buggy place where you go rent dune buggies and there's like a tour guide.
Okay.
Let's say it's like that.
Okay.
Now, one of the employees' jobs was to like follow along and drive in the little ATV dune buggy thing and like take pictures and record video. Okay. Now imagine a bunch of people who are like pro racers. They come in and they book like a whole day, like rather than like a little birthday party, it's like, we're going to book out like a week. We want to own the place. We're going to spend tens of thousands of dollars and we're going to do like our pro training. So now one of the things that like when you come in for a birthday party and you do the thing and you want to buy like the photo package at the end, it's like $150.
Okay.
But really, it's like a dude taking photos for like 30 minutes. It's not like it costs that much. It's just the markup of like photos or whatever.
Yeah.
Now keep in mind, I'm the manager of the business side of things, not like the ATV guide, but
okay.
So now, in businesses, a lot of times, like there's rules around like, this is the way it is. But then like when there's really good customers or when there's regulars, sometimes you're like, yeah, you want to drink. Don't bother paying for the soda. You're a good customer. You spend tens of thousands of dollars. Have a drink, right?
Yep.
That happens a lot with a lot of people. Sometimes the tour guides do it. Sometimes the owners of the business are around and they'll do it.
Yeah. Well,
one day, one of the like instructors that takes all of the people around, now keep in mind those guys also potentially work for tips.
Okay.
So a lot of times, like if you're the one who's like taking them on the like guided tour, obviously the happier they are, the more likely you are to get a tip. So at the end of one of these things, the head of the group that came in and spent a ton of money was like, hey, any chance we could get those photos? And one of the instructors told the photo guy,
okay,
just go burn on the photos on the disc, man. Just don't worry about it. So the photo guy is like a little bit lower on the totem pole.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll do that. He goes and does that and just figures like my superior told me to go do this.
Yeah.
These guys spent tens of thousands of dollars. It's really the cost is like $8 an hour for the photographer that we paid him and a blank
DVD.
CD.
Yeah.
So then he does that. And then at the end, the guys were like, cool, thanks. And they give him a tip. The photographer a tip as well. They give him a $20 tip. Well, then imagine the owners of the business are looking on the security cameras, and they see the photographer give the guy the $150 DVD, quote unquote, received $20 cash from the guy, and there was never a purchase made. Looks an awful lot like the guy was like, hey man, like you could imagine that he was like, yo dude, I'll give you the free thing, give me 20 bucks
give
or
me
whatever.
20 bucks. Yeah.
So as the manager, and I'm younger, I'm in college. So one day as the manager, my boss calls me in the back and says, hey, this is what happened. Now keep in mind, I kind of like know the most of what happened.
Yeah.
And they said, this happened yesterday. Call this guy and fire him. You're a manager. You've just been promoted to manager recently. This is your duty. Call him right now and fire him for stealing.
Interesting. So
keep in mind that the photographer guy is a nice guy, but I don't really know him. He's new. He's been there for like a week. The instructor is one of my homies. The instructor's the one that was like, just give it to him for free. It's fine.
Gotcha.
I don't remember exactly how it all went down, but I remember effectively not. And again, I said this last week. I am not proud of myself. I feel like I made the wrong decision.
Oh, yeah.
But I basically was like, yo, my homie is I don't want him to get in trouble.
Yep.
But it's his fault.
Yep.
I vaguely recall trying to cast doubt on the like, oh, well, maybe they just gave him a tip. Maybe it was, like trying to kind of not throw my buddy under the bus, but defend him. But they just didn't want to hear it. And they basically did the whole like, this is your job.
Yeah. If you don't do this, you're showing us you can't do your job and we'll fire you if you,
So it was a really awkward thing. And I ended up, and the worst part is for like a week, the meme at work was me like being like, you're fired. Like it was just the joke around like people making like a dad joke. I'm like, you're fired, like get out of here. So I call the guy and I have to be like, sorry, dude, like your services are no longer needed. And he was like, and I'm like, I had to be like, no, like I'm serious. Like it was horrible.
That's awful.
And the poor guy had like just moved states to come work here and all this other stuff. And this poor new guy, I fired him. And it was all because of a big misunderstanding. Oh, you know what it was? My buddy, when my boss went to him, she asked him and he lied about it. That's what it was. So it wasn't just me. I had to basically say, my friend is lying.
Yeah. So for you to pursue it any farther, you had to expose the friend.
Yeah. So that was the hard part, right? So really he threw the guy under the bus, and it was like he threw a random dude that I don't know that's new to the company under the bus, and one of my good friends
you had to fire him.
Yeah, so it was really bad, but like I don't know, what do you think like you would have done? and you're like 20, 21 at the time.
Dude, 100%. That's what's hard, is that like I get it. Looking back, that's clearly like, strip all emotion out of it. The right thing to do is to be like, no, dude, my friend lied. This is what really happened. If I'm 21 years old in college, I'm a manager at the job, like I honestly probably would have done the exact same thing, because like it's just like at the time, I'm sure the thought process is like, I'm not in any of this. I'm just gonna wash my hands of it all and like that it's over. But yeah, I mean that's such a hard position to be in when you're that young. You know what I mean?
And everybody's saying not a great position for your friend to put you in. He didn't. Yeah. He never put me in the position, quote unquote, from his perspective. He wasn't in the room.
It was as
simple
simple
to them
as
the day before.
Yeah, it was probably like they were like, "Hey, what went down here?" And he went, "Oh no," and then just said something. You know what I mean?
And he was like, "Oh yeah, no, I didn't say. I didn't." He basically said, "I didn't tell him to give it to them for free. I wouldn't have done that."
Yeah. Not processing that would have put you in a position, because
and then the next day I'm in the office in the back room. He's not there. It's not like I have a chance to go and talk to him to even be like, "You really sure that's what happened?" So,
yeah, that's brutal.
Ugh.
That's brutal. I mean, yeah, seriously, it's like, say what you want. It's really easy to be like, I would do the right thing all the time. Like, that's hard. Like that level of conflict, like a real homie, you're new to your job. There's a lot at stake personally for you to like fall in line and do the thing. You don't like at that time in your life, your relationships are so important that you don't want to just like burn a bridge. So yeah, that's rough. That's tough because obviously the right thing to do is to be like, hey, that's not what happened. I do know what happened, but like if I was in that position at that age, dude, I probably would have done the exact same thing. That's brutal.
Yeah. Feels bad. And honestly, the real I like put 30% of the blame on my homeboy who lied because I don't think he realized it would be putting me in the position and it would be putting the other guy in the position. I think he was just like, nah, I'm not gonna, as long as we all deny it,
exactly,
whatever, without realizing the whole meta situation. Because I think they went to him and they said, hey, did you say they could have it for free?
Yeah.
And he said no, and then they were like, okay, and they walked away.
Yeah, they probably didn't go up to him and be like, we saw them give this guy money. Was that for this? You know what I mean? And they probably were just like, did you give them the CD for free yesterday? And he was like, no.
Yeah.
And then they're like, cool.
I put it on the actual, like, one of the bosses. Part of me, like a deep part of me that's maybe a little bit cynical, but maybe kind of not, thought that like maybe, I don't want to say like race was involved. The guy was Hispanic. And it was mostly like a bunch of white people that worked there, and the bosses are. And I thought maybe that was like they just were like, we don't trust him.
Yeah,
they decided he stole from the beginning.
Yeah,
they're the kinds of people that are like super cynical and super untrustworthy. And it's like, yep, the guy came in here and he's just trying to take advantage of us.
Yeah,
we already know this. We already know what happened. Call him and fire him. And it was they didn't want to hear. So honestly, it was on. It's on them, right? Like they. Yeah. They should have asked for more information. They didn't even let him explain or defend himself.
See, that's rough.
They literally had me call him. Oh, that was another. The plot thickens. They said you don't have to tell in the state of New Hampshire. You don't have to tell anybody. It's an at-will state. You don't have to tell anybody why you fire them.
Oh shoot!
So they said fire him, and you can't tell him why.
See, that's so brutal.
I actually had to DM him. I texted him later. I didn't explain the whole thing about the guy lying, but I said, I'm sorry. I tried to defend you, whatever. But, here's kind of what happened. It was a misunderstanding. So I actually did text message the guy. Or I sent him a message on Facebook, I think, after the fact. But how they're so, God.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That's definitely a brutal side of it. To just be like, not even be able to explain why, or the real thing is just them not even calling him in and saying what happened from your perspective. You know what I mean? Like
they had it on camera.
Yeah,
they had him giving the thing he never had them paid for, and they gave him money in return. Cut and dry.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The guy stole from us.
Oof.
It's almost like I should send them a video of the whole. Hey, dear Tarkov community, you might be wrong. The one I made like 3 years ago about assuming someone was cheating or whatever, or just, I just need to send him that video.
That's brutal.
Rip. But so friendly reminder that if you feel justified in doing the right thing, as long as you're confident it's the right thing, you'll never regret doing the right thing, and you'll always regret not doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of the things I kind of have a little bit of shame about. Like when I think back to all the when people are like in these kinds of situations, would you do the right thing? And all of the situations talking about like guys on the ground getting in car accidents, like you pull over, you do the like I've always done the right thing in all of those situations, and I'm like proud of that. This is one of the ones I think back, I'm like, man, I really screwed the pooch.
And think about how many times you did stop or do the right thing because of the fear of more of that feeling. You had that feeling. You know what I mean? Every once in a while you reflected on like, damn, I messed that up. And that informed future right things. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why it's crazy that we like hold people to a standard these days of just like one thing can like set your whole life trajectory. It's like a lot of times that informs how we do things in the future.
True. True.
Yep.
Oi. All right. So yeah, that was firing an employee on the story time list.
On the story time list.
Friendly reminder: we have Sun Microsystems, $1 million. We've got ruptured spleen.
Yep.
We've got overdosing on sleeping pills. We've got, quote, the stabbing, end quote. We've got, oh yeah, eavesdropping on a neighbor's business call. And we've got shotgunning a beer bloodshed. Those are a couple of new ones. Some of these are shorter ones. Leave a comment with which story you want next.
Dude, we've had some bangers. We've had some absolute bangers so far. Damn. Well, that's about it. That's about it. The story time. So yeah, I don't know. Tarkov is Tarkov. Things are getting worse.
Things are great.
Better.
Everything's happy. We all love it. Everything's great.
Things are
Reddit's fine. Twitter's fine. Tarkov's fine.
Oh, yeah, Twitter's great. Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody's mental health is fine.
Yes.
You know what? The one thing that is fine is the podcast.
Hell yeah.
For me, it's like the one respite I have from this god awful content creation world is this podcast, dude.
It's good, dude. 135 episodes in. Isn't that crazy?
I've never once ever been like, oh, I'm gonna do the podcast.
Yeah.
Today. I've just never.
Yep.
Never had that.
Yep.
It's always just been good. And there's been a ton of comments. All of you guys, everybody that leaves positive comments, or all of you guys that just can't be bothered to write a positive comment, but you just like and you watch the whole thing, you the MVPs.
Yep. Seriously, it's huge.
It's easy to think we focus on the negative, but there's no point in when someone says we love you. It's a little self-serving to be like, thanks.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels that way, but for real though, like,
but it really does mean a lot. Yeah. I
read all the comments.
Yep.
And I appreciate them all.
And like seriously, the amount of time, like when people come in to be like, dude, I'm here from the podcast, like love the show. Like when they pop into Twitch chat, like that's crazy. Like I'm like, dude, thank you. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it
First time chatter.
It does feel like we just like go, you know. Sometimes I feel like it's like, oh, I'm sorry to the audience because like you and me will just be like in it talking about something we've talked about 10 times, but we're just so frustrated about it again, and both of us need to let it out. And it's like, and when people are like, bro, like you guys communicate exactly what I'm feeling about the game or something like that, I'm like, oh, dude. Damn, thank you. You know what I mean? So it feels good. It feels good. And speaking of thanking, once again, a huge thank you to you guys for watching the episodes and making it possible so that we can also thank the sponsors for this week, HelloFresh and BetterHelp. It's pretty crazy that we're in a position on the podcast to do that. Two dudes just like malding for 2 hours once a week. And so thank you just for everyone in the sport. Thank you for the sponsors. It's been pretty pog. It's been pretty pog. So yeah, nothing new, nothing too crazy as far as like news or anything happening. This episode will go live on Monday morning on all the platforms. I'm sure that means that tomorrow or over the weekend, Tarkov will have some huge thing that we won't be able to report on until next week. And but yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging. We appreciate it, and we'll definitely see y'all in the next one.
Peace.